Okay, so you can also mate with someone who looks like you. Nick was, like I said, the youngest of 9 of his family. I didn't know any of the older kids, but I knew 3 of the younger siblings. The joke was, and they were a big Italian family. And the joke was always that if you showed up at the Leones for dinner and you had dark hair and dark eyes, they would never know the difference. There were just too many people. You know, like, do we have roughly 9? Yeah, okay, it's fine. Like, you could be a Leone? Sure. You could be a Leone? Sure. Sit down at the table. They're not going to kick you out. They don't know who you are. You know, yeah, sure. You could be a Leone. Okay. I could not be a Leone. They're going to notice me. Of the 3 siblings whose spouses I knew, 2 of them could have been Leone siblings. Like 2 of them, if you put them in a lineup and said, which ones are the siblings, which ones are the in-laws, 2 of the 3 spouses who I knew would have passed for Leones in a heartbeat. Then Nick, my friend, married Elaine, who is as pale as they come, face full of freckles, bright blue eyes, and flaming red hair. You are not going to mistake her for a Leone. That is non-assortive mating. But the other 2 of the older siblings had spouses who very much fit right into the sort of pack. They looked like they belonged in the family already. That's assortive mating. Another friend of mine in college, I forget where we were, and she had her boyfriend with her. And I said, because I had seen pictures of her family on her desk. And I said, oh, is that your brother? She's like, no, it's my boyfriend. Sorry. She said, but he does look like my brother. It's kind of creepy. And I said, well, it's a little creepy. She said, it creeps me out. Sorry about that. They did end up breaking up. That's not why. But he didn't only look like he could be her brother. He looked like her brother. Like he looked like her brother. I had seen pictures of her brother. He looked like her brother. It wasn't creepy. It wasn't. Here's why it wasn't creepy. So they took these geese, they painted them red, they painted another bunch blue. I can only assume that the dyes that they used were not harmful to the geese. I certainly hope not. So here are our red geese. And here, well, I'll make them purple because that's what I've got up. And here are our purple geese. La la la, la la la, purple geese, red geese. Here's the interesting thing. So then the geese had babies. They had goslings, and the goslings were painted the minute they were feathered. So you had little red geese being raised by big red geese. Baby red geese. Select, copy, move that over here. And you had little blue geese being raised, or little purple geese, being raised by big purple geese. Whoops, wrong, whoop, screwed that right up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I know. I gotta fix that. It's because I deleted too far back. Okay, now here's the interesting thing. When those baby red geese grew up, guess who they chose as mates? Red geese. They chose geese who looked like the geese that raised them. What? It gets weirder. When those purple geese grew up, guess who they chose as mates? Purple geese. They chose geese that looked like the geese that raised them. Cool. Now they did something else. What do you think they did? What? They switched them. Okay, they didn't actually switch any baby geese, but they took the baby geese from the red geese and they had them raised by purple geese. And they took the baby geese from the purple geese and they had them raised, they painted the babies, anyway, they painted the babies the color opposite the parents. So the red geese were raising baby purple geese and the purple geese were raising baby red geese. Now, when these geese right here grew up, who do you think they chose as mates? Red geese. They chose mates that looked like the organisms that raised them. These geese right here, when they grew up, guess who they chose as mates? Purple geese. They tended to choose mates that looked like the organisms that raised them. This is why it's not at all creepy if you end up with a boyfriend who looks like your brother or a girlfriend who looks like your sister, or you marry somebody who looks like one of your parents. It's fine. It's okay. It's not creepy. It's it's the way it is. So organisms very often will tend to choose other organisms that look like what raised them. We kind of imprint on, at an early age, for what sort of real adults of our species look like. You ever heard jokes about, ducks who think they're dogs, or, baby squirrel adopted by wombat? I don't know. If that's what you're looking at every day, you tend to assume, oh, well, that's the adult of my species. Okay. Which, gets a little awkward when the baby squirrel grows up and tries to meet a nice wombat to settle down and mate with, because it won't work. But we tend to choose mates that look like what raised us. Really, what that ends up doing? Because usually those that raised us look a little bit like us. If we're being raised by individuals who are biologically related to us, which isn't the case for all people or anything else, but it means that very often, hood down please, thanks, you end up maybe marrying somebody or mating with somebody who looks a little bit like you. That's a sort of mating. Yes, ma'am?
I don't know if this is...
Whoops, there we go. So usually there is more than one thing going on. So, you might grow up to marry somebody who looks a lot like you and who lives next door. Or you might find none of those people attractive. What do does find attractive? The age-old question, what do does want? Antlers! Look at the rack on that boy. Seriously. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for big antlers. That's all the does care about these days, honest to goodness. What's a 2-point to do? Not mate. That's what he's to do. I'm sorry, honey. So they're looking for a big rack. Why? Okay. Maybe protection?
Wherever that familiar fight, so they have a stronger one.
Oh, they do. And having a big rack can mean you win.
Dominant.
Having a big rack means you can knock the crap out of that smaller buck. You can knock him unconscious. Sometimes they do. Why else? What?
Showing dominance.
Showing dominance. I am the biggest guy on this block. Thank you very much. I have the biggest rack. I just knocked 3 smaller bucks unconscious. Ha! I can't buck snort either. Does anybody here know how to buck snort? Can anybody do a buck snort? Can you do a buck snort? I'm sure Cameron did a moose for us the other day. It was pretty awesome. I'm sure he's got fantastic wildlife noises. So, dominance, aggression, protection, winning genes. Winning genes. He's a good candidate. Boy, he would make good baby deer. If I have a son, I want my son to grow up to be just like that guy with the giant rack. Because antler points are largely genetic. They do. Antler points are largely genetic. There's a strong genetic component to antler. So, if you've got, and I didn't know this for years. I assumed that the older buck was, the bigger the rack was, and that's not always true. That you can have a very old buck who's got a small rack because it's genetic. I didn't know that until a couple years ago. So, she looks at the guy with the huge rack and says, oh my gosh, I would love it if my sons looked like that. I want to mate with him. That's sexual selection. But that's sexual selection. She's looking at him and thinking about his characteristics. Okay, not thinking. Let's not attribute too much higher thinking to deer. They run into cars sideways, for God's sakes. Let's not attribute too much higher thinking to deer. But they're picking a mate because he is sexy. He is dead sexy. What does sexy mean for deer? It means big antlers. It means my kids are going to be awesome. Seriously. It means my kids are going to be fantastic. They're not thinking it through. They don't understand genetics. Deer do not take a course in Mendelian genetics. Do they? Not that I know of. Yes.
I found out that there's actually only one species of deer that actually has that switch.
That has what? Oh, yes, there is one species of deer where the females carry the rack and the males do not. You're right. Is it roe deer? I can't remember.
Reindeer.
Oh, in reindeer, the female. That's right. I'm sorry. Because because that's the thing that we always see. That's the thing we always see at Christmas. Yes, Santa's entire team is pulled by a bunch of women because only female reindeer have racks. You're right. I forgot about that. How do you know that those are boys' names? How do you know?
Because there's one girl vixen.
Don't care. Reindeer don't play football.
Yeah, they do. How do you know that?
That's true, I don't know. Okay, so female deer are looking for a big rack. What are female walleye looking for? A beautiful nest. You do, I'm glad. No, they want nice rocks. Do you know why they want nice rocks? They don't know why they want nice rocks, but guess what? A good nest is more likely to have more babies survive. A good nest provides good environment for those fertilized eggs to mature. So what's she looking for? I have no idea what female walleye finds sexy. No clue. Huh? A good nest. Now, what characteristics in a male walleye might translate to somebody who can build a bomb nest? Awesome pecs. Why? What? Awesome pecs. Because they use their pectoral fins to make the nest. You ever tried making something with no hands? You got thumbs. You're a primate. Yeah. Okay, seriously, go ahead. I'm on this. I look like a moron. It's fine. I'm used to it. You don't have to. I get it. But, you know, try to pick up something that way. It's ridiculous. Beautiful nest, guys. Beautiful nest. Hey, you make a great walleye. So, sexual selection. It's about what an organism finds sexy in the opposite sex of their species. Do we always know why? No. Do we know why certain things people tend to find sexy in humans? Yeah. Symmetrical faces. Do you know why symmetrical faces are sexy? That means your face looks, it's not perfect symmetry is actually unsettling. It freaks people out. But okay, so like a non-symmetrical face, I'm going to simulate, I had a grandparent when I was a kid who had a stroke. And his face was no longer symmetrical. One eye drooped and his mouth drooped because he had a stroke. The part of his brain that controlled half of his face wasn't functioning properly. I have another friend who has pretty severe scoliosis. And so her body is not totally symmetrical. One shoulder is significantly higher than the other. And if you look, like if you watch her bend over to pick something up, you can see her spine goes like that. There's an S-curve. I mean, she's basically in pain every day. Her back hurts all the time. Those are asymmetries. They're not symmetrical. She's not the same left to right. My grandpa's face wasn't the same left to right. Currently, you are a little bit asymmetrical, but it'll heal. It'll heal. If you have lost an eye in an accident, your face is asymmetrical. So those are asymmetries. Humans tend to find, and they've done numerous studies with this. They take images of faces and flash them in quick succession, and they have people hit a button that rates their attractiveness from 0 to 10. Boop, 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 boop. And there is a perfect symmetry for humans. Like I said, too symmetrical people find it creepy. Too perfect is creepy. But there's a symmetry that is like the ideal. So symmetry goes up and attractiveness goes up until you get to a certain point and then they go, oh no, that's got to be fake. Why is symmetry sexy? Because it means you look healthy. It means you look healthy. Okay, what did I say? Asymmetries? Somebody who had a stroke, somebody who has a spinal defect, somebody who lost an eye. Symmetry is sexy for humans.
They call it the golden ratio.